of the fall was man falls short, and we had a message from the rich man from hell. So a consequence of a fall. Aladdin. And this week, I'm going to speak to you as the Son of the living God, Jesus Christ, our Savior, the one who took upon himself the sin of the world. Amen? Amen. Then, God, they'll buy us. Before the world began, and creation began, I'm speaking to you as Jesus now. Before creation, the creation account began, I was there in glory. Listen, you might think that at the birth, the Christmas story, that's when I was created. Listen, creation and create doesn't apply to me. I was never created. I'm the creator. I'm the creator. I never began. Began is a word for humanity. Began don't apply to me. I'm the second person in the Trinity. I am God the Son. And creation began, and there was a man that was created, the first man. His name was Adam. And this first man, Adam, walked in communion. Letadesa, mansa. But this first man, Adam, failed. He failed. He failed. Him and his wife. And my father went and sentenced the woman, sentenced the man, and he sentenced the serpent. And I'm here to tell you tonight that I'm the seed of that woman. In Genesis 3:15 is the first mention of me. It's called the first gospel. The first time I was ever mentioned, my Father's plan for me to save the world was mentioned in Genesis 3:15 when he looked at the serpent and told the serpent, and there will be enmity between you and him. And my Father said that he is going to crush your head and you are going to bruise his heel. Well, that just happened. Just that way. In Noah's time, the flood, I was the ark. Noah and his family hid inside of me. If you paid attention, that there was one door on that boat, and I was the door. It was a picture of me. I'm On the side of the boat, there was a door. And when I went to the cross, they pierced my side. That was a picture of me. I was the ark in Noah, in Noah's flood. In Exodus, I was the blood on the doorpost. Remember the plague in Exodus? The 10 plagues, the last plague. The last plague, God told Pharaoh, let my people go. If you don't let them go, I will take your firstborn. I will send a plague of death throughout the land of Egypt. And whoever doesn't have the blood of the Lamb on their doorposts, death will come to their homes. But whoever has the blood on their doorposts, what will happen is you will be spared. And the death angel will pass over your house. I am the Passover.
Amen.
I am the Passover. Remember that when they was in the desert and they needed guidance by day and they needed guidance by night. So what did my father do? You know the cloud? That was me. The cloud by day, Mesamas. You know the fire by night? Mesamas. That was me. My father's master plan all along was to paint the picture Pamani Dominga. That was me. And when the Israelites fled and Egypt wanted to capture them, what happened was the cloud and the pillar of cloud and the fire went behind them, in between them and the Egyptians. That was me protecting my people. That was me protecting my people. Then as you've read for many years, in John, the first chapter and the first verse, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word became flesh. My Father sent me into the world and limited me, the King of glory, the King of kings and the Lord of lords, into a body of a baby. And I was born wrapped in flesh amongst animals. And I had to grow. And I had to do some things that I thought I'd never have to do. I know what it was to be hungry. I experienced hunger. I experienced what it is to thirst. I experienced exhaustion. I experienced pain. I needed to sleep. I underwent temptation and did not sin. I had to submit. I had to study. and I had to pray.
Wow.
I had to learn some things that I already knew because of my human nature. Things I already knew. Things I created them. Because of my humanity that I put on. And I had to live a life of obedience. Obedience to my Father. I lived that life for 33 and a half years. Until the time came for the master plan to be unveiled. Now, what's the master plan? Here's the master plan of my Father. Adam failed. Noah failed. Moses failed. Abraham failed. David failed. Ezekiel failed. Elijah, Elisha failed. Jeremiah failed. All the prophets, all the men of the Bible could not meet the mark. The first man, Adam, his sin, his disobedience was credited to all humanity. And all of humanity has to pay a price to the living God because of one man's sin. Because my Father's holy and He does not tolerate sin. So, humanity has to pay the price. So here's the master plan. I come on the scene. I'm born. I have to come to earth and wrap myself in flesh and live a life free of sin. Live a life of obedience. Live a life that is righteous. And be crushed under the wrath of my Father as if it was you. What do you mean? What's so serious about the wrath of the Father? What's so serious about the wrath of God? Isn't God love? Isn't God all lovey-dovey? Isn't God, I love you, God is love? Well, as much as God is love, God is all powerful. As much as God is all powerful, God is filled also with wrath. And justice had to be served because of what Adam has done. Now, I don't have to go through what Adam did, what his son did, and he killed his other son, and then the flood, and then, do we got to go through all that? We ain't got to go through all of that. Every person born from this moment on, from that moment on, is born into the nature of Adam. That's called the Adamic nature. And God's wrath awaits that person. God's choli awaits that person. My Father's wrath awaits that person. And some think my Father's wrath is He takes out His sword and He beats you up. The punishment of my Father and His wrath is hell. Did you hear that? That's God's wrath. So, there needs to be a mediator. There needs to be somebody to sit between God and the people. There needs to be somebody to exhort. And I was that man. My father's wrath was building and building up and building up and building up over the years, Sodom and Gomorrah, building up. Building up. And I had to go and pay the price. And here's the price that I paid. Although I was equal to my father, although I had power to say the 12 legion of angels, come and rescue me from this, they could have came, they could have done it, but I didn't. I had to pay. I said, no, I gotta go through with this. And God, the Father, unleashed His wrath upon me. All of what was supposed to, all the hell that people were supposed to get, it went upon me. All the curse of death and sin went upon me. All ochoromos lalumiako saspenogadumi. Didn't you read it in Isaiah? And Jehovah laid upon him the iniquities of us all. He laid upon my shoulders His wrath. And I stayed on the cross, acting from the first 3 hours, for 6 hours, the first 3 hours, I was the high priest on the cross. I took the sins and I went before the Father with the sins. And the next 3 hours, I became the lamb. I became the sacrifice. Did you read where it says that darkness filled the earth? The reason darkness filled the earth is because that's when I became the sin bearer. That's when I became the sin bearer, and darkness filled the land. And you might say that God turned His head away. He didn't say He turned His head away. Doesn't say anywhere any of that. It pleased the Father to crush me. It says that in Isaiah 53 verse 10. The Father was pleased to crush me. And I stayed upon that cross and I lowered myself to the point of death. To the point of death. And did you ever read where I said on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do? That reason for that prayer was this. Because they thought that they're unleashing wrath, their own, upon me. They had no idea what was happening. My Father was using them as puppets in His hand. My Father was using them. And they thought they're unleashing this upon Him. But it was the Father all along. It was the Father all along. It was the Father all along. Unleashing His fury. His wrath. And the sorry part is this. The sorry part is this. I stayed and hung on the cross until I died. I was lifted off the cross and I went into a borrowed tomb. Nazmo tomb. The King of the universe, the one, my God, the one who created the stars with his voice, ain't got a place to lay his head. Joseph of Arimathea comes and gives me a tomb, and they put me in that tomb. They wrap my body in linen. They put me away. And for the first time in all of my history, I was separated from my Father. I learned what it is to be separated. I felt rejection. I felt separation, a feeling that I never knew. I know what it is to cry now. I know what it is to be rejected. I know what it is. I know what it is now. And I went through that so that you won't have to go through that.
Thank you, Lord.
Have you ever read in the book of Hebrews, the 2nd chapter, in the 9th verse, that I tasted death for all of yous? Are you hearing me? I tasted death for all of yous, so that you won't have to know what death is. And I looked death straight in the eye, and I said, you ain't got no more sting. You got no more victory. And they took me off the cross, laid me in the tomb. And on the 3rd day, as my Father promised, He raised me from the dead. He raised me from the dead. And when He raised me from the dead, I got up. And I showed myself to the people. I showed myself to over 500 people. Showed them my scars. I showed them my sides. I showed them everything I went through. There was some people that I dealt with, that I walked on the road to Emmaus with. And at the end of that, I showed them, because I am He. At the end of that, I showed them. And then, remember the time in Genesis 3:24 where my Father said to the cherubim, guard the gate. Guard the gate. Let no man come. Let no man come. I want Adam out of my presence. That cherubim, that angel, guarded that gate. But on the day that I went before my Father, on that day, when I was resurrected in my glory, I turned around, and it's not the angel's fault. It's not heaven's fault. All as they know is no man has ever came this far. All as they know is that he left God, and now he's coming back as a man and opening up the heavens for everyone. So I got the thief on the cross. He was behind me. I got all the patriarchs. They were behind me. And I went to the door and I said, "O ancient gates, open up that the King of glory may come in."
Who is this King of glory?
I am the King, mighty in battle. Ancient doors open up that was never opened before. Open up.
Who is this King of glory?
I, the Lord, mighty in battle. Open up. And then the gate has opened and the Son has went where he was never able to go before. Into heaven. I need you to stand in this church because you didn't have a place there. But he went as a man. He went back as a man. And he opened up the gates that was never to be opened. Give him some glory in this church. Come on. Hallelujah. Listen. Come on. Give him glory. He opened up the door. He opened up the heaven. His name is Jesus. From the body is to be present with the Lord. Now the hope of the believer, El Kalila, is we close our eyes, we open them in His presence. Are you hearing now? I saw that. Come on, choir, sing that.